Well, let's continue the discussion here in the studio. With me now is former member Bill Jeffrey and David Simpson of the DUP. You're both very welcome.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Bill Jeffrey, first of all, just tell us your experience of the Civic Forum.
Well, I've been a supporter of the Civic Forum long before it ever came into being. I worked with Democratic Dialogue in the early days. It was an idea then, a concept. Now, I only served in the Civic Forum for one single day. I would have the world record as the shortest lived member on it. They appointed me in the morning and they put me in suspension in the afternoon.
So that's why you're keen to have it back, was you really haven't had a chance.
That is true, but I believe in it implicitly. And I see the DUP motion today as, I suppose, arrogant, but certainly a cynical kite-flying exercise. Because they're only asking this because their leader allows them to. The report, the review of the Civic Forum is on his desk. And that should be read and digested. Let me tell you, if today that wins, and it's not going to, I don't think anyway, NIC2, the Federation of Small Businesses, the CBI, the Northern Ireland Council for Voluntary Action, Concordia, all the recommendations of those bodies are going to be ignored. I don't see how you can have a debate like that today without first of all looking at the evidence. An awful lot of people made submissions to the review. They made a very strong case for a Civic Forum to continue. And I believe implicitly that that's what should happen.
David Simpson.
Well, I'm glad that Bill admitted that he attended the meeting for one day. Also, I think Bill could confirm for us that out of 60 members, I think there was somewhere in the region of 18 attended that last meeting. We have a list of those that attended. Some attended one meeting and whatever. But I would like to put this to Bill. Just one simple question. How many original ideas, Bill, that were put forward by the Civic Forum were taken up by the government? Original ideas. I believe there was none.
Well, thank you for the chance, but I believe there were dozens. I mean, just think about education. I mean, it was us that put the bedrock down that Katrina Ruan's making such a mess of at the moment. The literacy and numeracy thing. We did sustainable development. No. We did programs for government.
With the greatest respect, all those things were in the offing long before they come forward to the Civic Forum. And the Civic Forum took them up. And I asked a simple question. An original idea, not something that someone else thought of. Original idea, and what was accepted by the government. And in my belief and my evidence, there was none.
I would put it to you that the Civic Forum was made up of a number of people who actually applied for the job. They had to be examined, they had to pass through an interview. They were picked because they knew about strategy, they knew about all those things that make up governance, that add value to governance.
Those 10%, Bill, 10% of those people didn't have to go through anything. The Civic Forum had the freedom to appoint 10% of those members without anything. But I will say this: if we're talking about, you mentioned organisations that would be represented, or we would fail to listen to. We have X number of committees in this Assembly. We have 108 MLAs. We have MPs in this country who are lobbied day and daily by the CBI, Federation of Small Business, every voluntary organisation there is. And in fact, today in the Chamber, I took Anna Lowe let me intervene in relation to our own DSD committee, whereby we take evidence from all organisations. They have an open door in this Assembly to come and put their case forward. We don't need another Quango. We certainly don't need another Quango that's going to cost us somewhere in the region of £500,000 per year. We are in a crisis. We don't need another Quango.
Are you against unelected second chambers as a point of principle, David Simpson?
Well, I don't know. I haven't looked at the full detail of that. I have to be
about
honest.
the House of Lords.
Well, the House of Lords, I understand, is going to go through a major reform. So we'll have to see what the detail of that will be before we'll make a final decision on it. But there's a vast difference, I have to say.
You could probably save more money if you...
Well, no, there's a vast difference, I have to say, in the House of Lords, which is an elected body, compared to the Civic Forum,
House of Lords isn't.
The House of Lords is an appointed body, but I will say this is a vast difference in the House of Lords and the Civic Forum. A vast difference.
Well, we're just on a smaller scale sort of thing.
Oh yeah, I don't see many with red robes.
Well, I suppose it depends whether you read the Sunday
People outside may view it as in a similar light as jobs for the boys.
That's right.
No, it's not jobs for the boys, because the boys were not paid. We got a very paltry mileage allowance. That was the law.
£500,000 a year, Bill. £500,000 a year. For what?
David, let's talk about your money. That's about what you get probably in a year with your allowances and all those things.
So David Simpson's outlined how all the NGO groups you mentioned liaise with the democratic institution here through the committees and through the committee chair, deputy chair, build up relationships, come up here. We see them every day in the corridors here, talking to people, lobbying, making their cases. Why do we need a civic forum?
Because that formalises it, and that's the function that we were created for. We give civic society a safety valve. We give civic society an opportunity to formally put papers. Each of the lobby organisations, the Federation of Small Business, the Confederation of British Industry, they put a case, a special case. But we pulled that together. It was cohesive, it was strong, and we were a representative body of the people out there. We're the electorate.
But Bill,
who elected the politicians.
With the greatest respect, Bill, that's exactly what happens within the committees. We have organisations such as CBI or Federation goes to the Daddy, a report's made, and there's papers issued on that, and we decide how to take it forward. We don't need a quango to do that, with the greatest respect.
I don't think it's a quango in the true sense of the word. The Civic Forum had a model, and it was the first consultative forum for the European peace money. And that, I jointly chaired that. And that was a model that brought infinite benefit to Northern Ireland. This, if it hadn't been suspended, would have done the same. And if it is reconstituted, will do that.
Isn't the realpolitik, Bill Jeffrey, that when the Good Friday Agreement was being finalised, Mo Molam, a little bit like the list system for the previous Northern Ireland Forum, was worried that certain people, especially loyalist representatives in the Women's Coalition, wouldn't necessarily make it all the way into the Assembly, so created the forum to give them some sort of a place to sit.
I honestly was not aware of that. I thought it was open and transparent. No. I thought it was done on merit and ability. That was the difference between elected politicians and the Civic Forum group. It was about ability.
Bill, would you agree with this? That what we need to see during the whole crisis that we're facing at the minute, an economic downturn, which could last for 4 or 5 years, we just don't know.
At the very least.
At the very least, that we need to be a government of efficiency.
Absolutely.
Well, we don't need £500,000 wasted a year in a civic forum.
Well, the British government gives billions to bankers, don't they? Yes, they do, of course. It's an absolute disgrace. And they give our MLAs nearly as much. But I think this is a cost-effective body that is absolutely essential.
Well, what about the online interactive replacement that the DUP wants, David Simpson? What's that going to consist of?
That's one idea. I mean, we take MPs and MLAs, vast majority of them have websites, they have email addresses, they can interact with people, you can join a party online, you can have a constituency office online. But look, at the end of the day, that's one method. The method that I'm pointing out is that every organisation has the freedom to come forward to the committees in the Assembly, put their case before which is represented by all parties.
Bill Jeffrey, you could have a virtual civic forum and you could be there longer than you were in the real one. You were only there for one day anyway.
You were there forever, Bill.
I did this at 7 a.m. this morning. Poor Nelson McCausland was just having a bad morning and he came up with that idea. It's not on at all. The internet, of course, is a useful interactive tool. But for this sort of thing, for serious politics, where you can sit down and I can sit down, we can make a point. That's real politics.
But I do it every day of the week. Every day of the week.
Surely the point here, though, is this is an interesting discussion, interesting debate while we're having fun with it, and we've seen it in the chamber today. But the reality here, the political reality is, if it is sitting on Peter Robinson's desk and the DUP are against it, the proposal's dead, and there's no point in us talking about it. We live in a two-party state.
Well, that's a bit true.
Well, we'll have to see what the outcome is. And when the discussions and when OFM, DFM review it and look at it, then we'll have to look at the decision.
It's been going a long time, this review.
Well, yes, it has, and hopefully it'll go a lot longer.
OK. Gentlemen, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you.